Hello, paper crafting fans. This is Little Mo Crafty here, and I am here today with a project for you that is really popular this time of year. It's lei making, and I have done workshops like this out of my home for a couple years now, and so I wanted to show you the basics of putting together a lei so that you could do it for yourself at home since it is graduation season. Now, leis are good for just about any event. Doesn't have to be graduations, but I know this is a very popular project right now, and so I wanted to just demonstrate one of the various styles that I've made in the past. This one is a lei that we like to call a stacked lei, and the basis of all leis are about the same. You're basically going to be creating an accordion medallion, and so what I just showed you here was how I took several dollar bills and also several pieces of paper cut in the same shape as a dollar bill, and I accordion folded them. Now, the accordion fold is at about a 1/2 inch wide. It is helpful if you can get really crispy dollar bills to do so when you're making them. And you fold those pieces of paper up and then tie them in the middle with a small rubber band. I like to buy the rubber bands that you can get in the hair section of any sort of retail store, and mine are actually see-through or transparent. After you fold up all your bills, and it may take several, you're going to actually turn them into a medallion, and that's what I'm demonstrating right now. So you'll fan fold it out, and I like to use specifically the Magic Tape from the Scotch brand because it is transparent and it is not shiny. So I fold the fan out, tuck a tiny piece of tape underneath the last fold, and then loop it over to the other side to keep them together. I do the same with the pieces of paper in the various colors that I've chosen. Now, some of the cardstock that I use is pretty thick, so you may want to double tape it just like I'm showing right now, just to make sure those pieces of paper stay together. You don't want to do that to the dollar bills because your graduate will probably want to pull those apart at some point. So just make sure they're secure enough to stay on the lei for the day. Okay. As I tape these together, there are times where you need to trim off some excess, so just to keep an eye out for that, I usually just use a tiny little detail scissors if that's the case, if your tape's not even. Make sure your medallion ends are even when you tape them together as well, so that you don't have a crooked medallion. Now, the other thing that I am demonstrating right here is how to string the medallions once you've created them. You want to make sure when you are taping that you leave a tiny little hole in the middle of the medallion so that you can string some ribbon in. My ribbon is pretty thick, so in this particular scene here, I am actually tying a smaller ribbon to the end, or taping it to the end, so that I can string it better and I don't get frustrated with frayed ends. You can also put a tiny piece of tape around the end of your ribbon too, and then you just start threading. So a stacked lei is going to thread flat on itself, so we're actually going to string the ribbon through only once, and then just pull it through and push it down the ribbon. You want to make sure you're watching the pattern as you put the medallions on. So whether you're doing 2 colors and then, say, in my case, 5 dollar bills, and then another 2 colors, you just want to watch the pattern as you go. If there's any opportunity for the medallions to get crooked, you can always tape up the holes a little tighter, and that will straighten out the medallions. So as you can see, I have strung my medallions across my ribbon, and this particular stacked lei took about 35 or 40 dollar bills, plus about 2 colors each in between every 5. Now, in this case, if you want to add any sort of extra flair, you can also tie the medallions onto your ribbon a slightly different way. In this case, I am actually going to loop the ribbon through the front, or through the one side hole, and then a second ribbon through the back. See how I did that? And now you've got both ribbons on the back side of your medallion. This allows you to take that ribbon and actually tie it to the back of the ribbon in a flat manner. Now, this is called a flat lei style. And I'm just doing this to one side of my lei right now so I can add the letters of the university that I want onto the lei. After I tie on all those pieces, then I sort of stack them together and slide them together with the dollar bills behind the colored letters. Here I'm representing that I actually also go back and use curling ribbon to curl the ends so it's got a nice decorative flare. Now this is done at the end of my lei, so the other stacked part is on the other end of the ribbon, as you'll see here in a minute. This is just to represent the one side of the university that I wanted to add to my lei. It is really a pretty gift. It's time consuming, however, it's very simple to come together. It's something you can do when you sit in front of the TV and start folding leis and taping them together. Now the letters are die cuts that I use that I just glued on top of a separate circle and then glued it on top of the medallion. See how I am pushing them all together so that they stack up and down on top of each other. All right, and now my lei is complete. That particular stacked side will be on one side of the lei, and then the remainder of the medallions will be basically strung on this other side. I hope this is a helpful tutorial for you. Please give me a follow, and I appreciate you joining me today.